This is high functioning depression. This is, I got out of bed, I won the lottery today. Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Middle-Aged Millennial MILF Podcast, MAMM Podcast, if you will. It's a very special episode today because I'm going to cover something that is very important to me and I think really needs to be discussed, especially our age, is mental health. So I'm coming to you full depression face. I'm not actually depressed right now, but I just wanted to give you, this is high functioning depression. This is, I got out of bed, I won the lottery today. I also have my PMDD shirt on, which we will discuss later because homegirl's got a lot of mental problems. But let's start to dissect. So I'm going to kind of just go through, I guess, my life. And here's the deal. I came from undiagnosed mental illness. My mother is a covert narcissist. My father, rest in peace, I think had borderline personality disorder. His is a little more murky. He may have just been incredibly emotionally immature, but the fact that he didn't reach out, anyway, we'll get into that. But so I came from two people that did not have therapy and had mental problems. So from the jump, my reality was a little skewed, I feel like. And it's really hard to feel regulated as a child when your mother lies and lies for no reason and you don't understand it and the world isn't making sense. And that was really hard. And her especially, if you know anything about me, I'm an open book. And if I'm doing awful, I'll tell you. If I'm doing good, I'll tell you. Like anything. But it was made very apparent to me that my feelings were a burden on everyone else from a very young age. So I needed to deal with them myself and not be a bother. And I think and here we go. Here's a super secret. I sucked my thumb well into adulthood. I want to say I kind of quit braces the second time as an adult. But there are times when things get bad and I will suck my thumb again. Also, this is also really high level. Here is my blanket, also known as Whoopee, which my parents named from Mr. Mom. But this is not the original Whoopee because of my anxiety. And I don't even like to say I have anxiety because I've never had a panic attack. Like I just fiddle around. Like my anxiety is very minimal. So I'm not going to take that claim to fame. I already have depression and PMDD for days. I don't need anxiety, but you'll see me, I'm sure. Sometimes if you see me on the podcast, if you're watching, doing this, I pull strings out of it. So I'm on like my 12th Whoopee. Like there's no sentimental value. It's more just comfort. And I felt really ashamed for the longest time. I didn't want people to know I had my baby blanket. Like I have it with me at all times. Like, fuck that. I'm not going to be ashamed of that because it is not my fault that my parents did not love me. It is not my fault that they did not give me other coping skills. And God bless little Sarah who figured it out. So fuck anybody who wants to say anything. Any kid that did anything to get through their rough childhood, leave them be. So I, like I said, from a young age, was kind of really had to self-soothe, had to self-regulate. So I would learn from TV. I would learn from movies. I would kind of see how you should act. And it was very, very dysregulated in my house. My dad had a temper. Don't make dad mad. And like I said, mom lied. So there was a lot going on and not a lot of yay mental health. And in fact, from as long as I can remember, my mom always said, don't go to a therapist. Don't go to a therapist. All they do is blame your parents, which in your case, Rose, yes, they blamed you because you were indeed at fault. I'm going to make it a generational thing. And some boomers, I'm sure, go to therapy. But I would bet dollars to donuts that millennials go to much more therapy. And yeah, they can pinpoint that some of the things that your parents did added to your problems nowadays. But the thing that these parents don't get is that all we want to hear is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry how my behavior affected you. Not even the I did my best. No, fuck off with the I did my best. The I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't have my shit together and it affected you. So, how do we move forward where I do the least amount of harm and we can have an adult relationship? Every no contact adult, that is all we want to hear because of society, generational differences. I don't know. I just feel like that generation doesn't say they're sorry. And yes, that may be an overgeneralization, but here's the deal, good boomers. There is such a high percentage of really god awful, shitty boomers that that's the norm. And all you good ones that, marched against Vietnam and stuff, that isn't the norm. So also congratulate yourselves. You're a fucking unicorn and you're not shitty like the rest of your generation. But most of us were raised by shitty boomers. And it's so funny to me because, and I've touched on this before, we didn't talk about this in high school. We didn't talk about this in school, how our shitty parents affected us, how their shit affected us. It was, we just wanted to escape. And it really is why I feel like a lot of us grew up too fast and had sex too fast, tried drugs, drank too fast. Like we wanted to be grown-ups because I think in our minds, or at least in my mind, I'm not trying to speak for everyone. In my mind, things would get better. Once I was an adult, I was in control and it was my life. And I was going to find somebody that was going to fix me and give me the life that I wanted, which I guess I did find that. But as Drew would tell you, it wasn't easy. So yeah, so growing up, my mom lied. My dad had a temper. It was very scary. Don't make dad mad. I remember vividly, they got into a fight and my dad was going to leave. And my mom was like freaking out and crying and like being like, don't leave your kids, tell your daddy not to leave. Like it was so weird and toxic. And then it was just done. And then we didn't talk about it. And that was the other thing. There was never a decompression. There would be a fight, but there would never be like, hey, I had a rough day at work. And when you did this, I took it out on you. And that wasn't right. And I'm sorry. There was no repair made. Here is, I think, one of the most important things as a parent. And I have had a child for almost 16 years now, and I have a 9-year-old. So, yeah, I can speak to motherhood, Rose. So here's the deal. As a parent, we're human. And I hate when people, oh, we're human. Like, don't fucking use that as an excuse, but you are human. You're going to make mistakes. The repair is what's important. You being able to go to your kid and saying, I messed up. You didn't deserve that. Or, yes, child, you were wrong, but I was also wrong, because it takes two to have a fight. It takes two to miscommunicate. It takes two to communicate. That's what my therapist has said is the most important, is the repair work. Because I inherited my dad's temper and I will yell. And I know that that's going to be my kid's thing. Is mom was kind of a bitch. Mom would yell sometimes, but mom always came to us and said she was sorry. And I think that that's so important. And that was really what we were missing as a generation. And that's why we grew up too soon and all that stuff. Like my first boyfriend, I was all in. I loved him. I had a promise ring. And when he dumped me, which, yeah, of course we're going to break up. We were sophomores in high school and we were way too serious. And he wanted to live his life and have fun. I understand that now. But at the time, that was the absolute worst. I remember vomiting and not being able to eat forever. And it was so bad that my dad took me to Hard Rock Cafe thinking that I don't even know that this was just situational, that he could, buy me a Hard Rock Cafe shirt and a fucking overpriced burger and I would be over losing what I thought was the love of my life. But we went there and I was picking at the food. And I remember my dad telling me that I was bumming him out and I was ruining his good time. And we just left and I felt worse than before. And I can appreciate the thought process. I can appreciate what he intended to do, but the execution was horrible. And bottom line, they should have gotten me a therapist in that moment. And that I don't want to say I'll never forgive, but that is a tough point for me to ever get over because it would have been so easy. They didn't have to do shit except pay for a therapist. Just send me to someone that I can talk this out with. Instead, you left me alone in my room to spiral without any tools to help myself. I think I would have gotten over him a lot faster. I would have not gone down some of the roads I went down. And that's really important. And I've had walkers gone to therapy after I got off the pills. I thought it was important. He is very much emotionally like me, and I wanted him to have an outlet and a safe place to talk about how things affected him. I'm not scared of my kids to go to therapy to hear about how I messed up as a parent because I will be the first to admit how I messed up as a parent. And I will also be the first to say, I'm sorry. And how do I repair this? And you didn't deserve that. And my pride and my ego is never worth more than my children. It just isn't. And no matter how mentally ill I am, that still is never the case. And I don't have illusions of grandeur with my mental illness. My mental illness is I suck. I'm a piece of shit. Nobody wants me around. Why do this? I don't want to do this. Everyone's faking it. That's my mental illness. And I like to equate it to 16-year-old Sarah. When I think about my mental illness, I visualize it. It is 16-year-old me that is just believing all the dumb shit and just hates herself. And so when I'm trying to deal with my depression, that's kind of the route I try to go to. Because yes, as an adult, I have depression, but that really is so rooted in who I was, that scared little girl. And now as an adult, it's kind of my responsibility to fix and take care of her because my parents were not able to. And they didn't want to, they didn't educate themselves. This was all a choice. As parents, we all have a choice. You have a choice if you want to make your kid's life better or if you want to make it worse. You have a choice if you want to live vicariously through them or if you want to see what they do with their lives because that's genuinely interesting. It's tough. The depression is tough. And the depression led to insomnia, which led to me as a young college student buying sleeping pills, anything to kind of self-medicate the symptoms instead of dealing with the root cause. And I finally got onto an antidepressant. I was in my first marriage at the gynecologist, actually. And I just started crying. And I told her, I'm crying all the time. I can't stop. And I told her everything I was going through. And she put me on an antidepressant. And thank God for that woman. Like, she saved the day. And around that point, I also started seeing a therapist. And here's the sticky wicket, guys, is it's hard to find someone that you really vibe with. I had some guy, I felt like he judged me all the time. All he ever told me was that I should leave Ryan and that would fix all my problems, which in hindsight, he was absolutely right. Leaving Ryan did fix all my problems, and being in an unhappy, abusive marriage does not help one's depression. But I was stubborn and was like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do. I was 22, 23. And it was around then that I started taking Adderall. And because I had read that Britney Spears and Nicole Richie had taken it. I did not have ADHD. I think I probably convinced myself I had ADHD, but now being around people that actually have it, it is very apparent that I do not have it. I am very high strung and to type A. But the problem with that was then I had even more trouble sleeping. And my first husband's mom was a walking pharmacy. She had a lot of mental illness herself. She was on a lot of stuff. She gave me my first Ambien. And I was like, well, this is heaven. Because my problem with the depression and the insomnia is I would lay awake at night having trouble falling asleep because of all the thoughts, the racing thoughts, the bad thoughts, everything. And I was like, there's a pill that I can take that will just knock me out and I don't have to fix my problems. Sign me up. And that also, then it became such a crutch that even when the Ambien became a problem, it was no, but I need this. I need this to function. I need this. This is a part of who I am. And that's really scary thinking too. And I bounced and back to antidepressants. I bounced around on a couple. When I got pregnant with Walker, they put me on Wellbutrin. I cannot speak highly enough of Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin is life-changing. There are no weight side effects. There are no sexual side effects. To be honest, I don't even know what the side effects are because it's so minimal that I couldn't pinpoint that something's causing a problem. And this is also why I wanted to do this episode is because I know people look at me and don't think I have depression. They don't look at me and think I have PMDD. They don't look at me and think I want to kill myself once a month. I don't think that many people know that side of me. And I've hidden it for a really long time. There was shame. There was people wouldn't love that version of me. I was, when you grow up, here's the deal. I grew up in a toxic situation and I had mental health issues that were not dealt with. This was a perfect storm for me to have these issues and to believe when my mom said, "You're just a bother. Nobody wants to help you with the problems. Like, get over your shit." No, people don't like you, Sarah. You're a pain. You're too much. That's what I heard. You're too much my whole life. Diminish yourself. I think I was too much for her. I don't think I was too much for the world. I think I was too much for her. But Wellbutrin was life-changing. So anybody who, if you are thinking about this, go to a doctor. Please, please don't self-medicate. I learned that lesson. But go get on an antidepressant. Most people should. But like I said, this one has the least amount of side effects. I cannot speak to anything else. And I am on the highest dose. I am not a casual depression. I have major depression, major depressive disorder. It's serious. I'm on the highest legal dose of Wellbutrin that you can be on to keep me alive and going. And that's what's tough too, is a lot of people will talk about when they go on antidepressants. And I hear you. I have been there. When I got diagnosed with PMDD, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but they put me on Prozac because that's some of the treatment is I was already on Wellbutrin. Clearly that wasn't helping. I was still having episodes. So let's try a different one. And that one didn't make me feel like myself and I didn't like it. And I got in a day and I was like, no, I'll do something else. I would rather triple my Wellbutrin than try that. And I hear you when they make you not yourself or they take your spark. But the right one won't. Just like the right therapist won't make you feel bad. They will figure things out and talk things out with you. My therapist I've been seeing since 2018. I wanted to get anxiety medicine because the pill problem ramped up. We've had episodes, I'm not going to rehash this, but the pill problem ramped up to the point where I was having anxiety and the pills were causing it. I would be at work at Children's Place and be like, I need to go. I need to get out of here right now. I need to go and escape. So they were going to give me anxiety medicine, but the deal with that is they would give it to me, but I had to go speak to a therapist. So I was like, well, whatever I have to do to get the pills, fine. I can lie to people. I learned from the best. So I found Dr. Voss on my health insurance plan, whatever, and thank God for her. I feel really bad because I didn't figure out that we didn't work on the pill problem until January 2022. So there was a time, and I started going to her and I realized I got the anxiety from Beckett's heart surgery. His whole birth, his open heart surgery at 3 weeks old, the feeding tube, the having to go back, that all really messed me up. And I feel very strongly about this and I need to make enough money happen. But we need to have therapists walking around these NICUs. We need to have people available and not just like, hey, go find, like, we need to have someone physically down there and being like, this is really hard. This is the worst thing somebody can go through, short of your child dying. Let's talk this out, because I internalized everything and my husband didn't talk about it with me. I didn't talk about it with him. It was very much, we were caught in the day to day and we weren't checking in with each other. We weren't saying, how are you feeling about this? Like, that really, really got to me and was tough. The almost losing my baby, the hospital feeling that they were judging me. Like, it was just kind of all of my problems were amplified by that situation. So that's when we started to realize the anxiety, and Boss and I talked it out and figured out the hospital thing, and that got better. I also was terrified to fly. I was terrified to fly because my mother showed me plane crash movies when I was little, and got in my head the planes just crashed. Like, I'm telling you, like, she was not a good mom. She gave me my brother and I both gave us anxiety, things to be scared of. You don't tell a 3-year-old that her head is going to get cut off like Adam Walsh's and found in a canal. And that was oddly very specific and accurate. And I feel like maybe that was not the time for that much accuracy, but okay, mom, you do you. Yeah, she is solely to blame. Not solely. Her and my father are to blame for my brother and I's mental issues. My brother likes to lean into it. He is the golden child. I don't even know what all his problems are. And to be honest, I can't deal with that. It was so much work to figure out my own and deal with it and put in the work. And I can't do that for a grown ass man. So, Kyle, mom gave us mental issues, and you really need to go get some help and work on yours because I'm not going to fix them for you. But yeah, we are not supporting parents the way that we should, especially like NICU parents. And that is really tough. And that is anxiety and depression and fear. And I really want to just make a lot of money so I can like send food to them and be like, hey guys, like here's Olive Garden. You don't need to go down to the cafeteria, but maybe you do need to go down to the cafeteria. And we need volunteers to sit with these babies so they're not alone and the parents can feel like they can take a break. So let's make this podcast make money, guys, so I can start helping NICU parents and find therapists for them. Because like I said, I took pills and I buried things and I didn't deal with them. And that was how I dealt with it for such a long time. And that's how the pill problem got so out of control. They gave me bipolar medication to help me sleep, in addition to the Ambien, which you're not supposed to be on a long time. So bad. Like, you know what they were giving me? They gave me quinapine to begin with, but they gave me olanzapine to sleep. And we were watching The Pit, which great show. But they're having literal like schizophrenics come in and they're like, give them a shot of olanzapine. Like by the 4th time I heard it, I was like, Drew, you need to pause this. I can't. Like, what the fuck was wrong with me? That I didn't do any research into this and was like, bipolar medication, that seems kind of extreme for sleep. Because if you think about it, it's not like it wears off. You take it daily, but that's how they go back to being schizophrenic. They don't take it, it works out of their system. You take it every day. It's not short acting, it's definitely long acting. So I was just taking it at night and still dealing with the side effects the next day. After I got off of them, I remember I was like, did I used to drive this angry, this fast? And I think that just numbed me for so long. I mean, I was on that from 2019 to 2022. So COVID, I was on drugs. We didn't have anybody die of it close to us like that. Everything that was going on in the world was kind of a nice little distraction that people couldn't see how fucked up I was. And then when I realized how bad it was and I got off the pills, that's when we also started to see the PMDD. And we didn't know what it was at first. Once a month, I would get in these huge fights with Drew. And huge fights to where you've never loved me. This isn't working. I don't think we're compatible. We've been together 17 years. I don't think we're compatible. Like everything in PMDD is the extremes. And you believe it. And I'm right now sitting here, I could tell PMDD Sarah, like, no, nobody wants you to kill yourself. Like, no, people like you. You have friends. But in her mind, it's like, no, you're just saying that to be nice to me. You're just saying that. Your brain really finds ways to hate you. Like your brain's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. And even then, it's a challenge with mental illness. Your brain isn't trying to even keep you alive. Your brain's literally trying to kill you. And you have to kind of decipher what's right and what's wrong. So after like Drew would be on a conference and we got in this huge fight. These fights were happening month by month. I started kind of tracking my periods. And then the last big, like, before we knew it was PMDD, it was like 3 days worth of us getting these fights. And by the end, Drew was just like, I don't know what's going on. And that's when I had a manic episode and I went over to my parents and got in a fight. And that's when That was the last time I saw my dad. He said very nice, not things. And here's the deal. I was in the middle of like a manic episode. I can see it now. It was a manic episode because I feel like for me, PMDD is like I'm bipolar. Everything I believe to be true the whole rest of the time goes out the window with PMDD, and none of it's true. I don't have any friends. Everyone hates me. The world would be better without me. My kids would be better without me. Like everything is just skewed. So dealing with that is really hard too, because like I said, you believe it. It's not even like I'm like, well, no, I know this isn't true. Like your brain is convincing yourself, like, no, no, this is true. Believe it. So went over to my parents, had the manic episode. And as I was like crazy, and I remember vividly having this thought, I was like, I am crazy right now. Like this is the craziest I have ever been. And I am the most sane person in this house. I need to get the fuck out. Like that was my word for word, like thought process was like, I need to get the fuck out of this situation right now. This is not good. This is not healthy. Done. And it was so tough too, because if I understand I went over there hot. I understand like I hadn't talked to them in 6 months. I just go knock on the door. But my dad just goes, "Hi, Sarah." And that was what was so tough growing up too, is there were never any resolutions. There were never after a fight, the repair. It was, we just ignored it and act like it didn't happen and moved on. It was serious enough for me to cut off contact with you and my children and my husband, and you just think that one day I just got over it. We need to talk things out as a family. Kids need to be heard. And that's the thing too. Like I was so dismissed in that moment. And I was dismissed as a child. Why at the same time him saying to me, "You're a 38-year-old woman, Sarah. What do you need from us?" And it's like, and also that was another aha moment. And I was like, you're right. You are so right. I don't need jack shit from you. I don't want jack shit from you. I want nothing to do with you. And that was really liberating too. And as an adult, we need to remember that. Like, if you don't want to talk to your parents, you don't have to talk to your parents. It is not your job to take care of them when they are old. That is a privilege, not a right. That is the privilege of parents that worked on their shit and apologized and atoned. And if you were just doing, like, I'm so sick of them being like, they were a good parent. And I'm like, what they do? Well, I was fed and had clothes. So they did the bare minimum. They fucking chose to bring you into this world. Yeah, they should clothe you, bathe you, feed you, send you to school. Like, that's the whole fucking point of being a parent. But where's the emotional support? Where's the emotional integrity? Where's the emotional intelligence? And my cutting my parents out was not political. It wasn't, I mean, my father was a Democrat, loved him for that. My mom is a lazy Republican. Like, she would have voted for Trump, but she's just too fucking lazy to go do anything. Like, believe me, I know she likes it. But I was reading, it was like a quote, and who knows what's real and what's not, but it was from a MAGA parent. And it was like, my 37-year-old son cut us out, and I've set presents, and I did this, and he needs to come around to us. And just reading this, he needs to come around to us, I was really struck. Sorry, my cat. I was really struck because I was like, holy shit, is this what that whole generation is doing? All these parents where their kids went no contact, instead of being like, whoa, this is serious. What do I have to do to get them back? This is all dismissive. They're high maintenance. They're making too much out of this. They'll come around. And I think that generation and Gen X and maybe even some millennials too. Like, I have an ex-friend who is a boomer parent. She may be a millennial, but that bitch is a boomer. You know who you are. Picking on your kid for his weight, boomer. That's the thing. Like, we're told all the time. We have been told since we were in high school, millennials, that we were entitled to things that they had made empty promises for, apparently. But okay, yeah, we're entitled. The ones that are entitled are the ones that were awful parents, and they think that as adults, we should just stick around because of family. Like, no. I'm going to be real honest right now. Out of both sides of my extended family, my immediate family, not talking about what I married into, my immediate, my blood, the Petersons and the Mormons, I talk to my cousin Stephanie, who's my same age, my cousin Mary, and my Aunt Judy. That's all on my mom's side. I do not talk to anyone on my father's side. I don't care to. I don't talk to any of the other siblings that my mom had. I love my grandparents. I love my grandparents very much. And I think they loved me, but they fucked their kids up majorly. And I'm like 99% sure my Nana was a narcissist. So and that's what like my mom doesn't understand is when I was talking to her for that week in the hospital and I said to her, like, do you know how hard that is? Not knowing if my Nana's love was genuine or if it was to get back at you or if I said, because I was also manufactured. She told my mom to marry my dad. She liked my dad. I feel manufactured. I felt like my grandma was like, yep, now I have the daughter I deserve. And in fact, Rose said that she said that. And I'm going to be honest again. That might be something Rose didn't lie about. I could have seen my Nana being nasty and saying, Sarah's the daughter I should have had. But also, I am better than my mom. My mom is not a good person. My mom didn't have friends. My Nana had friends. I was more in line with who my Nana was. And I could see her being a narcissist like that. And that's what's tough is both sets of grandparents clearly also had mental issues, mental things they weren't dealing with. And anytime I brought this up to my parents, it was shut down and said, our parents are wonderful. Our parents are wonderful. How dare you question that? And I'm sure in turn they're thinking, how dare you question us? We were great parents. We were this and that. That's another thing I read. See, this isn't just my parents. It was like a Dear Abby, which go Dear Abby still being around. And it was this parent that was like, our daughter cut us off. I think she's bipolar and probably narcissist. And we were wonderful parents. And as soon as I read that, I was like, my God, this generation is so fucking delusional that you can't see what's wrong with you. And that is what bothers me so much is I can admit every fault I have as a parent. And anything those kids are going to come at me with, I'll be like, yep, you were right and that hurt you and I'm sorry. But I will do anything. And I say this to them to these even now. I will do anything to have you in my life. I absolutely do not want you ever to feel like you need to go no contact. I will atone. I will say I'm sorry. And they were also very much in the conversation, in the decision to go no contact. And that's what my parents also didn't seem to understand is the four of us make decisions as a family. My parents make decisions, not key me into it and just do it. I key them in, I mean, within reason. Like, I don't worry them, but this is what's going on. Walker would sit with me when I was crying about how hard it was to not talk to my parents. And I really had convinced myself I needed them. And it was a tough, tough thing to do. But, and I don't like to say sobriety because I'm not going to go take fucking olanzapine. I wasn't watching The Pit being like, oh, I wish Wiley would shoot me up with some olanzapine. I fucking missed that. Like, I don't. But that's still who I was and a part of it. And I need to atone. And that's the kids. Like, I would have not gone no contact if my parents could have had the bravery to say, you're right. You're right. And I'm sorry. And even if it would have been like, Sarah, I don't even know what that means, but I'm sorry. Clearly we caused you harm. But it was to this day, right at this moment, her thought is, I'm an entitled little bitch who married someone who thought that they were better than them. And now we all think we're better than them. Yes, Rose, I do think I'm better than you. I know I'm better than you, but that was not the case. You were my mom. I loved you despite all of your flaws. And that was many. But all I heard about was my flaws from you. All I was picked apart. All I was dismissed a lot. And no wonder I have a podcast now because this is a form of my therapy. I was shut down a lot as a kid, and all I wanted to do was speak my truth. And I was told, shut up, nope, don't do that, lie. So this is very therapeutic for me to do. This is being able to finally let that little girl talk and not be shut up. It even goes back to the PMDD. Like, I guarantee I have had this since adolescence. Because I remember being like, I have like a boyfriend a month. Like, that's cool. Like, they only last about a month. No shit, they lasted a month because I fucking literally turned bipolar around my period and most of them bounced. Drew was the one that stuck around. He did the research. He's the one that found that I had PMDD. He's like, look, I looked into this. Like, this isn't normal. Like, let's get this fixed. And that is just so touching when you have mental illness to have someone say, I know this isn't who you are. Let's get you feeling like who you are. Because like I said, dismissed is how I would feel growing up. Dismissed is how I felt a lot. Just discarded, ignored. And Drew saying, no, let's get this fixed. And it has been a journey. I am still, like I said, it's my PMDD shirt. I am still dealing with it. This month, luckily, I didn't have any episodes. But when I was on that detox, which we will talk about when I have Renee on, my beautiful, amazing dietitian whom I love, I had a really bad PMDD episode. And that coupled with no food and stuff, like that was bad. And that was like, I was ready. I remember laying in bed and I was like, if I have to continue this detox, I would rather die. And I meant it at the time. I was like, I would rather fucking die right now than not be able to have a cheeseburger. And we talked it out and Drew's like, then fuck it. We quit the cleanse. And I told Renee, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm going to kill myself if I continue this. But everything in my life now, I have to kind of like, what's going on? I have to check my period. And I tried birth controls to get rid of it. That didn't work. I just bled all the time. Sorry, TMI, but it was gross and that's not sexy. We tried the other antidepressant. And like I said, that made me feel not like myself. So I found that when they upped my dose of Wellbutrin, it's better. I don't have manic episodes so much now. I had a little bit of PMDD when my dad died. That one was kind of tough because it was kind of like, what the fuck was the point of his life? What the fuck was the point of my life? But I feel like when I come back from Turkey and Greece, which we'll have some Turkey and Greece episodes, I'm going to do the detox again because Renee and I did some tests and a lot of my problems, I think, stem from my diet. So I am really, really interested to see how fixing my gut, my diet, and this isn't drinking the stinky teas, like this is legit, like my gut is not good. I want to see how that affects my mental health and how that maybe changes things. And if I can go on a lower amount of the antidepressant, if I can get rid of the, what's it called? The problems just by eating better. And I mean, I know the answer is going to be yes. And then how do we as a country start to, it's called the SAD diet. The American diet is called the SAD diet for a reason. It is causing a lot of, I'm sure, ADHD. I'm sure our food is causing so much of this. The processed food, like I found out I have a whey allergy. I can't, and that's whey protein, it's in a lot of processed foods. I can never have macaroni and cheese again. I love like cheese popcorn. Can't have it. It sucks, but I'm also like, what the fuck are you putting in it now that I didn't used to have this? I have it now. Yes, maybe my chemistry changed, but you fucking did that. And I'm just fucking America. Fucking America for mental health is awful. Awful, awful, awful. I'm so fucking sick of hearing we're the best. We're the best, America. No, we suck ass. Our healthcare is atrocious. Our mental health care in this country is atrocious. We are a pay to fucking play country. bottom line. And I had the best, and I was the best junkie. I had the best insurance. I was very high functioning at Walgreens. They didn't know because you have to play the fucking game. And I am so incredibly over it. We should have free resources. Like, how come we don't have that? How come we are pumping money into a fucking shit ass parade when that money could have food for children at school, when that money could go towards mental health? I would love for them to dissect shooters' brains, mass shooters' brains, and seeing how much mental illness was there. How many mass shootings could have been avoided? You don't want to get rid of your fucking guns. I fucking get it. Fucking America and our fucking guns. That's right. I'm a fucking socialist cunt. And I'm fucking proud of it. Guns kill people. Don't even get me started on fucking guns. But how many of these people had mental illness? Fine, don't take away their guns. Let them have their fucking guns. Then have some mental help. Then have some free fucking mental health. Get rid of the goddamn stigma around it. And have the, how many lives would have been saved? I mean, we know more would be saved if we got rid of your guns, but little impotent men don't want that. What is your fucking gun at home gonna do? If fucking Trumpy decides to fucking pull shit and he is president forever, and you're not, you're gonna shoot the fucking army? Like, no. You just wanna feel like a big fucking man with your fucking gun. Like, here's the deal. Anything ever fucking happens to Drew and you're a man that has a gun, there is no chance of this pussy for you. Not a chance. I will not fuck a man that owns a gun. Bottom line. Guns, I just think that there's something sick to, like I said, I have very extreme views on this. I am very, very anti-gun, which is good because I have my medical marijuana card and I can't have a gun then. So these meth head, hillbilly pieces of shit can go to Walmart and buy a rifle. But me, the person who got over her dependency, who is taking the marijuana so I don't take prescription pills that I used to drive on, I may add. I was operating heavy machinery, stoned, off the prescription pills. I don't take and drive now. I take it, I go to bed. That's the marijuana use. But the bipolar medication that my doctor was feeding me that I didn't need and then didn't say, like, you can't drive, I was driving on. And that's America in a nutshell. And that is why I want to fucking move out of this godforsaken country. And I'm sure other places aren't much better, but like fucking Copenhagen, like Sweden, Amsterdam, all that have a much higher happiness ratio. And I would love to know how they deal with mental health there. Is it better? Is there a correlation? I'm sure there is. So if you take anything away from this, if you haven't talked to a therapist, talk to a therapist. They're not going to tell you what to do, but it's a nice sounding board to kind of say things to and hear how they're interpreting it, being like, well, I never thought of it that way, or no, that's not what I meant. Like I said, Dr. Voss, I've been seeing her since 2018. It is 2025. I see her once a month. I will see her for as long as she's practicing. I don't see myself not having a therapist because I owe it to myself to heal myself. No one else is going to heal me. It's no one else's job to heal me. It is my job. And I also think it is incredibly reckless to have untreated mental illness and be walking around this planet. It's kind of like the accept me who I am and deal with it. Like, no, all of us owe it to ourselves and the world to be the best version of ourselves. And that means getting help. That means not just being a fucking time bomb that can go off at any point. That is not people's job to deal with your shrapnel. It's your job to make sure the bomb doesn't blow up. So I just want to thank everyone for listening today about all my hot takes on mental health. Like I said, this is something I feel very strongly about because my mental health was dismissed as a child. It almost killed me with the pill addiction, trying to drown out the voices in my head. And also meditation. Here we go. You guys know I can't fucking not talk about meditation. Meditation has helped me immensely, immensely. When I feel overwhelmed, when I have anxiety, I meditate. I don't feel the need to take a pill. I am not a benzos fan. Anytime I hear someone taking Xanax or Valium, you absolutely need to start meditating. You need to start working out. You need to take a walk. Anxiety medicine, unless it like you can't function without it, that is not something you should use casually. That is affecting your brain chemistry, and it is in fact the side effects are causing you problems. So let's all take this future to work on our diet, talk to somebody about our feelings, maybe meditate, work out, and just see how your mental health improves and see how much better you feel. Because everyone should go through this life feeling like they are their best and they're making the best decisions. And this is the best version for them. And above all else, don't forget, my friends, make today your bitch.